We're on.
All right. I was just suggesting that I don't know if in my lifetime I've heard or seen anything like the coronavirus, which I'm told has killed more than 2,900 people worldwide, most of which are in mainland China. Now, this outbreak is affecting supply chains and disrupting manufacturing operations right across the world, forcing employers to cut port workers' pay here in Jamaica, I'm told. President of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Mr. David Wan, is here, and Helene Davis White, she's the General Secretary of the Jamaica Association of Local Government Officers. Mrs. Davis White, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Morning.
Good morning. Welcome,
Morning.
Simone and Neville, and also Mr. David Wan here in studio. Morning, sir.
Morning.
Let's not get very specific, although I mentioned that we were talking about port workers here, but let's not get very specific. What could happen here if a company is saying, because of what's happening worldwide, I can't do what I used to do? Sorry, I have to lay off everybody, I have to give less pay. How does that work out?
All right. In a scenario like that, the employer would have at least two options. They could seek volunteers to take a redundancy package, or they could seek volunteers again. They could do a separation, a mutually agreeable separation that is agreed by both parties. So that's at least two of the options. And then, of course, if they're then forced to do redundancy, they would follow the process prescribed by law. So that's, and my interpretation of what's happening is that they're going the voluntary route early so that later on, if they have to go to a forced one, there's less people impacted because some may have taken the early.
Can we kind of paint a picture for the folks who don't know of what's been happening at our ports as a result of what's been going on with the virus? Because a lot of people don't really understand the impact and the ripple effect it has and will have on several of our industries. So
Yes.
what's going on?
It's still unfolding. We don't have hard data, but generally speaking, the feedback we're hearing is that fewer ships are coming here, supply chains are being disrupted, some tourists are thinking of canceling because just general avoidance of travel. So it is going to be a ripple effect in almost every facet of business.
So we hear about this in one industry, but it could surely be something that happens in others.
Absolutely. And I think there's very little likelihood it won't impact many other industries.
Mrs. Davis White, what does the law say here? So let's go back to the port workers. The headline says offered reduced pay due to shutdown in shipments, and I'm hearing redundancy. What can happen here?
Well, the law does make provision for what is called layoff in a situation where a company may be experiencing problems, but they may believe that the company will be able to rebound. And in the period when they're experiencing problems, the law allows for the employer to lay off employees, meaning that they are still employed, but they are not at work. They would probably not be receiving pay. In some circumstances, some employers may actually pay a portion of pay, but generally speaking, they are allowed to have the persons laid off. If the period of layoff extends beyond, from my recollection, 90 days, then the question of redundancy now comes into force, and the workers would then be entitled to be made redundant. But I think also, especially in situations where there is unionization and so on, by discussion with workers and their representatives, you could have a situation where workers would prefer to work for fewer days rather than to be laid off, and that is something that can also be negotiated.
If I'm offered less pay and I said, no, I'm not going to deal with that, what happens?
Well, then the employer would have the ability to do the layoff.
But the employee would have that right to say, I'm not taking less money, right?
Yes.
But that will certainly
But then
end up
the
in some...
option that they have at that point would be being laid off.
Right.
some persons prefer the layoff because at least it gives them an opportunity to seek to get earnings from other sources.
Okay.
While their company tries to restructure or to deal with the problems that they may be experiencing at that particular point in time.
And some people would opt for the redundancy payments because they get a lump sum and then maybe that will tide them over until they can find something else, right?
Right, so some persons would prefer that. But as I said, the law does allow before redundancy for layoff and then redundancy can kick in. If the company believes that their situation is not going to be improved, then they can go the route of redundancy up front.
Okay. So, tell me what your outlook is as you look at this thing unfolding. We know what's happening in other parts of the world. I think one of the biggest airports in Germany just laid off thousands and thousands of workers, or is looking to, has had discussions with. As this situation continues to unfold, what is your outlook?
Based on the rate of spread of the virus that we've seen, we believe it is highly likely it will be here in Jamaica. It will impact many industries, tourism, manufacturing, ports, and it will have a very strong impact on the entire economy, because the mining, for example, if you can't get the ships to transport the output of your mines, that's also another big factor. So in general, we think it's going to be a significant impact on the economy. And based on, again, on the rate that it's spreading, it sounds highly likely it's going to be here. It is just spreading too fast.
And so what would be the advice of Jeff in a situation like this? How are you speaking with, coordinating with companies to put some kind of plan? I mean, companies should have already started to plan, but how would you work with them to roll out some kind of plan that would make it, experience as least impact as possible?
We're depending on the authorities at the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Local Government that some have already issued guidelines, as well as internationally we've picked up stuff that from experts in spread of disease that many companies are putting together their plans, but we're depending on the authorities to give us the guidelines that we can then share with our members for those who have not yet put it together to try and get a program together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Helene?
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Helene, have you gotten any feedback from folks as to how they expect this to unfold?
Well, from all indications, it appears that it's going to get worse before it does get better. And that's generally how these viruses operate. I think a lot of what David says is correct. We are going to be facing serious problems, especially because in Jamaica, our economy depends a lot on imported inputs. And so once that supply chain is affected, we are going to be affected seriously. I think it may present an opportunity for us to be able to look inwardly and determine, to try to put in place measures that could make us less vulnerable to what is happening outside of Jamaica. But in the way the world is organized now, it is likely that we are going to be seriously affected.
Sensing any panic? Are you sensing any panic out there, or are folks just being very aware? I mean, there's one case being reported now in the Dominican Republic, so it's just up the road.
Yeah. I think there is a little bit of, I don't know if it has gotten to the stage of panic as yet, but there is a lot of concern as to how it is going to affect Jamaica. If you remember, Chick-V and the kind of responses that we had at that time when it did get worse before it got better. I think that gives us an indication as to what is likely to be the situation in Jamaica. But I think our health authorities are doing the right things at this point in time. I think a lot of it has to be about education. So health education teams have to be on the ground, I believe, saying to our citizens what exactly this virus is about, how they should be responding, because a lot of what we're hearing now is comes down to what we do as individuals, the decisions we take as individuals in our interactions with others. Some of it is going to be, I think, difficult for us to accept, so that, you know, we are accustomed to our dances and various other events where a lot of people gather. I think that is probably going to be the most difficult thing to manage, because, you know, persons would want to do as they would like, but in these situations, I think we have to be very careful and responsible and make sure that whatever the authorities indicate are the appropriate actions, that we should make sure that we observe what they say.
All right. Thanks a lot, Colleen. Thanks for speaking with us this morning.
Can I just ask one more question before we wrap? Future of work. We always talk about the future of work in Jamaica. Telecommuting, flexi hours. This could put us in a situation where people will have to work from home.
Yes.
So are we prepared for that? And just to ensure that employees are protected, if they feel unsafe, if they don't want to go into the office because they don't want to be vulnerable, that they're not, you know, retaliated against.
Yes, that's an excellent idea, and I think many employers are thinking along those lines. Unfortunately, not every job is
right. Can be facilitated
like
that way. Yes.
You know, unfortunately, but for those who can, a telephone operator, for example, can be set up at home. You know.
Yeah. By the way, Helen mentioned Chick-V. Did that affect our workforce in any big way, that we, like something like what might happen now?
Our data that we collected showed there was a temporary impact. It wasn't long lasting, and there was a peak, and then it went back to normal. This seems like it could be more severe.
Okay. Thanks. Again, Helen Levis-White, Secretary of the Jamaica Association of Local Government Officers, and President of the Jamaica Employers Federation, Mr. David Wan.
Whew. All right, we're going to lighten the mood a little bit. On the other side of the break, we'll be right back.